People used to tell me that gaming was a waste of time, and back then I couldn't really argue because I had nothing to show for it. But the thing is, everything I know about showing up, building something from nothing, and thinking in the long term were all lessons that I learned from picking up a controller. So it doesn't necessarily mean that gaming is some kind of a magic shortcut, but that gamers already understand how growth actually works, whereas most people in real life don't. So this is how I plan to use gaming to build my life and build my success, and also why if you are a gamer, then you are already more equipped for success than you realize. My name is Tofu, and on this channel we use gaming as a lens for bigger ideas, and this is what happens when you think deeply about success, psychology, culture, and also happen to really love gaming. So if any of that sounds like a little bit of you, then I would really appreciate it if you would hit that subscribe button and leave a like on this video, because that is the fastest and the easiest way to help us grow. For me, there was a big contradiction that opened the door necessarily to this way of thinking, and that gaming has always been framed as the opposite of something that is productive. But my challenge was, what if the games that we play and the skills that we train while playing these games, such as the patience, strategy, delayed gratification, repetition, what if those are all the skills that success requires? And that's the contradiction here that I think is worth exploring. Now, I've been a gamer for an overwhelming large majority of my life. Most of my life, I've had a controller in my hands. And the moment these dots started to connect and things started to make sense was when I started to learn more about business and marketing. Now, outside of gaming, the thing that I probably know the most about and I'm the most passionate is marketing and business. I want to help people build businesses, and that is the thing that I love doing. But the more and more that I learned about business and the grindiness of business and actually what it entails, I'd sort of realized that through gaming all these years, I'd already done these things. I'd already practiced these skills, but in a very different way, in a simulation, in a version of reality that was a lot different, with a lot less stakes and a lot lower consequences. And so for me now, it's been connecting the dots of how do I train all these habits that are very difficult in a way that's not so taxing on my body and I can do every single day, and that's gaming. So for example, gaming taught me how to delay gratification before I knew what it meant, and it also did for you too. So every grind that we've done when we've played games, if you're farming resources and trying to collect as many things as possible, leveling up, when you're doing the same mission over and over and over again, that is repetition and a delayed payoff. And that is exactly what building anything in real life looks like. You already know how to do it, you just haven't applied it yet. So for example, people in GTA that play the online version, they have a lot of money, they've got extremely large bank accounts, and how do you think they got there? It's through managing their money and acquiring and doing these repetitions until that number built into something so large. The difference here is that we think about things very differently. If you want to really unlock this and make gaming effective on your life, you have to change the way you think about time. In gaming, when we farm for things and we're doing all these little missions over and over again, we're doing this in a matter of days and weeks, but in real life it takes months and years. If you can understand that and you can make peace with that and you're willing to play that game, you will be disgustingly successful. Because it's the same thing. Any long RPG grind is exactly how life works, just in a different time horizon. And when you make that change, anything becomes possible. And the problem is, most people that try this, they don't become successful because they do something for a month or a few weeks and they think, I haven't seen any results, so maybe it's not for me. But the reality is you haven't actually given it the amount of time it needs to have enough momentum to see whether this is a good thing or not, or whether you're even going to be successful at the thing. For example, another idea that gaming can teach you about being successful is the idea of a skill tree. And it is the idea that you are the sum of your parts rather than the collection of the whole. So in gaming, for example, there's no single stat that wins, right? You can't just boost one thing and be super OP in games. Generally, it's not going to work like that. It's the stack of all of these little improvements in your skill tree that make the total of the beast that you are. So a character, for example, who is a 6 in every single avenue in their skill tree is always going to beat a character who is a 10 or a max level in one particular discipline. And the same idea applies for people as well. You don't need to be the best at any particular thing. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need to be the best there ever was. You need to be building across multiple branches simultaneously and spreading the weight of your progression. And we do this so that the tree can grow without us necessarily having to watch it. And the way that works for us as people is you are never going to see the forest if you keep focusing on a single tree. It's when you zoom out will you see that even though I'm not a 10 out of 10 at this particular thing, it's all the other things. The fact that I'm a 2 here and a 5 here and a 3 there and a 6 there and a 7 there, all of that makes me the monster that I am, and it makes me a formidable opponent in this domain of which I'm trying to be successful. And so just in gaming, the goal that you're trying to achieve, whether that's a fucking gold medal at the Olympics, world championship, building a business, the final boss, the thing at the end is not the game. The campaign is the game. Now let's use another example to make this easier to understand. A UFC champion, for example. You are not a champion because you have a belt. You have obtained the belt because you have good cardio, good grappling, good striking, and a winning mentality. On all of those things stacked together makes you a champion. When you see a goal as what it is made of, the sum of its parts, rather than what it actually is, then it stops becoming this intimidating beast and something we'd have to dream about that one day we'll have, because it starts to become a little checklist of all these little things you have to achieve in order to make it a reality. So every part of the bigger goal that you want to achieve becomes a mission. It becomes side quests. They become little grindy things that you have to do, and that's a lot more doable. That creates a completely different relationship that you have with ambition that you can change. And so how in gaming that the end game or the final boss or everything, when you finally get to that point, it feels earned and you feel good for getting there, because you know that I had to go and do all these side quests. I had to grind and farm all these things, and then I had to become who I am to achieve this thing. And it is the part of becoming that makes you successful, not the part of winning. It's not the part, the goal that you achieve. It is the part of becoming. That's the point of this. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's about the friends we made along the way type shit, because it's not. It is the process that you have to go through. And when you fall in love with that process and you gamify it, you will become a champion. For example, the gamification of a process happens when you become competitive about the amount of steps you take rather than the results you accomplish. The problem with most people is that we measure success by the actual outcome and whether or not I've arrived at the destination, and that's wrong. So people are waking up in depression because they wake up and think, do I have a gold medal at the Olympics? No, I don't. I'm shit. Do I have my business? Is it making money? No, I don't. I'm a failure. So we measure things based on the outcome, whereas gamers have naturally learned to measure things based on progression. We think about things in levels, and we know that there's a level to achieve. There's kind of a level cap. We know that the skill tree goes into a certain point. So it's about progression for gamers. And so if you can shift that competitive instinct from did I win and turn it into did I take more steps today than yesterday, you've actually changed the entire game you're playing. And now it's working in your favor, because now you've stopped yourself from waiting on the outcome and you've begun to start playing the missions in front of you. You've begun to do these side quests and started to take more steps forward to the actual goal. And so gaming has been for us all this time like a hyperbolic time chamber from Dragon Ball Z. And the transformation when we come out on the other side is not because of this one big moment. It's not because you beat Radahn in Elden Ring, but because of the compressed, consistent reps that you've done over and over and over again, and the choices you made in that simulation. And that's why I made the decision to start treating everything in my life like a mini game. And that's what has begun to make me more successful, and why I'm doing certain things like this channel, for example. Every challenge that comes your way, it has rules, it has mechanics, it has a scoring system, it has progression. If a job interview is a mini game, a difficult conversation with someone is a mini game. When you start to see it that way, things start to look a lot less threatening, and it becomes something that you can figure out. And that shift in how you frame the things in front of you is what will allow you to grow, whether it is your career or your athleticism or whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. It's what will allow you to create something with a lot more responsibility for you. So the way we accomplish that is not by having all of the answers. It is by the approach of each level, the way that a gamer would, with that curiosity, the repetition, and without catastrophizing failure. Because you never really start from scratch. When something fucks up, you don't start from zero. You start from the last place that you left off with all of that experience. It's kind of like restarting at a checkpoint in a game. A checkpoint is not restarting the whole thing, but I've went and I fought that guy, I lost, I learned my lesson, and now when I start again, I'm going to go into this battle again with more knowledge. That's the purpose of failure. And so for me, I'm not necessarily financially successful, and success means a very different thing to different people, but whatever that is, it is the strength to continue to do it regardless. It's not the highlight reel that you create. This channel, for example, is a gamification, whereas I used to spam making hundreds of daggers in Skyrim to get my blacksmithing level up just so I could make better gear. It's the same thing with this channel, and these videos are my daggers. I have to make these videos, and I have to make good videos over and over and over again for an extended period of time until it becomes something. And the same is true for whatever goal you are trying to accomplish. So it's not a video about how to make a lot of money. It's about how to achieve success. And like I said to you, you create that version of success for yourself. If that's earning 10,000 a month, if that's starting a business, if that's winning a gold medal, whatever, that's your success, whatever it means for you. I would also encourage you to become a member of the lobby, which is my emailing list, which you'll find in the description. It's just a way for me to contact you a lot faster than I can with editing and making a video and posting it to YouTube. I can send you an email a lot faster. And once we reach certain milestones, I have really, really cool things that I want to do for us as a community, and so I can involve you guys in the channel and just do bigger and cooler things for you. So it's more than just an emailing list in the future. So I'd really appreciate it if you signed up to that. And so what you need to realize, and what I've realized, is that we are already wired for this game. We're so fucking ready, because if you've spent years of your life gaming, then you've already trained the skill of patience, delaying that gratification, pattern recognition, iterative thinking, resilience in the face of failure. Because remember, resilience is not about how strong you are to push through sadness or fear. It's about how long does it take you to reach baseline level, because everything happens at baseline. So when I'm angry, how long does it take me to go from angry back to baseline? When I'm happy, how long does it take me to go from happy back to baseline? It works both ways. That is what resilience is. You have been doing these repetitions in the simulation over and over and over again. The only thing left for you to do is to take those skills and point it at something meaningful, something in real life with the same intentionality that you bring to the games you play. That's how you will achieve the success. And so what I'd like to say to you out of all of this is that we haven't been wasting our time. And if someone has been telling you that, or telling you to do something with your life, then this is for you to understand that it hasn't been a waste. Being a gamer is not a waste. However, it will and it can become a waste if all you do is just get better at playing video games. It is not attempting to take the risk of building and doing something greater. That is when gaming becomes a waste. Gaming has been the biggest steroid mentally for the models and the way that you need to think, better than anything else. And now it is in your hands to take that and create something that you feel like is successful. And it is the idea that you can become successful because you're a gamer, not in spite of being a gamer. And so whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, start doing it. Take those steps, because I know for a fact that you can.